This is Bayonetta on Xbox One X. We're getting a push towards a 4K resolution with a native 1440p at 60 FPS. While the slightly lower resolution is a little bit disappointing to a degree, the game does actually look beautiful. It's rendered in a very lovely way. It looks visually appealing, and it's a very weird game. So this is, about a third of the way in if you're counting chapters, and it kind of is where the story is just kind of building up to a degree, I guess you could say. You're playing as this wild witch lady that was basically torn out of a lake at one point, and she doesn't really remember who she is, doesn't really remember her past that well, I guess you could say. And a lot of this narrative is about basically her discovering her past. So it's kind of a really interesting title. It's a bit crazy, very big sense of scale to it. Really weird creatures and hellish and heavenly things. And yeah, it's a very weird game. It's definitely one of the more wild ones. It's definitely graphic. It's definitely, got strong language to it. And yeah, it's very kind of sexualized, but not really leaning into that too much, which is kind of interesting. So you're fighting all these different, kind of creatures. You're doing weird, I guess you could say, execution things at times, which are kind of neat. It's like a torture thing, like doing that and build up the combo. So it's a game about combos and weird fighting and stuff. So I'm actually playing on easy difficulty because this game is quite difficult. It's not a frustrating difficulty, it's more of a difficulty where it's like I could sit there for a while longer and actually move through it on normal, but I need to cut back on time on some things just because I am behind. Anyways, yeah, it's kind of really fun. Easy is a little bit too easy almost because it plays by itself, and then normal can actually be quite difficult, but I don't think anyone should have too much trouble running through this on normal. Just doing this mostly for speed. So yeah, the game's got a lot of variety to it, just in terms of the locations you go to, the creatures you're facing off against, the design of the various levels. There are a lot of weird quick time events that kind of catch you by surprise almost, that I found a bit odd. Oh, I love this style. The cutscenes in this are so interesting. Sometimes it's like this film reel type thing that kind of reminds me of, I guess, the title Wet, I think it was called. There's a really cinematic type thing. Yeah, I guess kinda. It's just a very weird style. Sometimes it's regular cutscenes like you were seeing earlier, and sometimes we got this cool little sort of design to it, which is quite fun. It's a very, very weird character. That's what this is. So I guess it's the tantalizing Umbra Witch rise from the depths after half a millennium in slumber, and she has no recollection of her past, and I mentioned that. So you're kind of dealing with things very much hack and slash, very big focus on cinematics, and like I was mentioning before, getting totally distracted there. There's kind of some weird quick time events that sneak up on you almost. It's weird. And I also didn't if you die, you have to re-see cutscenes, which is a bit odd. But for the most part, it's actually kind of well put together. I was hoping that they would do a little bit more with the, with the enhancement in regards to, I don't know, just kind of touching certain elements up. It very much feels like it's more of a ported title. That being said, the higher FPS is very nice. At the same time, also because it does feel like it was kind of just ported over, some of the backdrops and some of the visual little graphics don't quite hold up as well. You kind of see that even with the clouds in the background, sort of the lower res textures in the mountains too. So you can skip cutscenes, which is nice. And yeah, we're going to just get to the action because we want to show off more of the combat. It's really weird, and again, being on the easier difficulty, it just kind of plays itself with the way that combo is kind of chained together. And one aspect I really do like, because I played this on normal to a degree, guys, but one thing I really do like is chaining together the combos and kind of seeing the little battles unleash. So what we were seeing there is you can actually like pick up the tools of your enemies. So if you kill like a staff wielding thing, you might be able to pick up its staff, which is cool. I have the hand claws there. But yeah, you get some really sort of neat abilities and combo things going on. And you get to like, you know, do weird gun shooting, and she's got guns everywhere, and it's just like this wild sort of thing, which is kind of neat. You can like lock on, which is kind of cool. And then you go into like these weird battle things. But yeah, it kind of does a lot of it for you. Oh, there we go. We got one of the staff things. Just so you get an idea of it. But she's got cool moves, a neat sort of like bar that builds up, and you're constantly getting rated on your performance, which is something I guess some people like. A very particular genre of gaming has the whole rate you system. I don't care. I'm not really after that kind of thing. I'm more into the story and stuff. And it's got like a really sort of strange, bizarre, messed up narrative that I'm really digging. I like this character. She's so strange, very weird, very over the top, which is kind of cool. And she's got like weird magic abilities, weird stance to her. It's quite interesting. Oh wow! And sometimes you might go through portals. Oh wow, yeah. And I really like how they kind of switch up the gameplay to a degree. Oh, cool. Because you're seeing we're kind of doing this like thing here, and then sometimes you're like walking on walls, and then other times you're like almost in another dimension, and you go through portals, and there's different realms. It's got quite a bit of lore that it hits you with, and I find that really interesting because this is a world that feels like it's really fleshed out, despite maybe like, you know, this being the first entry and everything like that. Just truly impressed by what's going on in this one. And the combat's so cool looking, very fluid, very smooth, very neat. I generally just really enjoy it. I mean, it looks so interesting, right? This is the wheel one where I gotta move the thing. Usually you're button mashing, but this one's kind of this. And you build up your combo and you get more things. And then you get points, and you can use your holy rings that you've collected from these poor demons in order to basically buy extra abilities and stuff when you go to the gates of hell, which is a cool place to buy stuff from. Chill atmosphere, really nice people. Anyways, new moves, new weapons, stuff like that. It's kind of neat. So that's an aspect of it too, getting those new abilities. And she just kind of like unleashes. Like, this is like the weirdest combination I could imagine for like a character in regards to like weapons. Like, she's got like the guns like everywhere. I think she's got like 4 articulating guns on her. It's kind of nuts. And then she just kind of moves around like this crazy maniac, where it's a mixture of like grace. So you can see that with like the butterfly wings, beauty, and then complete messed up darkness with the dark arts and everything like that, being a witch. So that's kind of cool. One aspect I also find weird is it doesn't necessarily guide you in some situations. So that sounds weird, because I know a lot of people, it's like, oh, I don't want my hand being held. But there's sometimes where you get to a point and you're kind of like, what exactly am I supposed to do at this point? And yeah, just kind of like a little bit puzzling, like trying to like get this bridge thing open, or this door, and it just kind of says use this to do this, and it's like, okay, doesn't really help me. And when you finish levels, you get to do like a weird mini game thing, and then you can exchange it for some items and stuff. It's neat. It's kind of like a shooting gallery type thing. Use the bullets for it. So there's the gates of hell. I'd buy better guns, but I'm trying to keep the pacing going so you guys have, you know, something more intense. Cool. So yeah, neat destructible elements, and then they got some like kind of puzzles, I guess. That's one of the things I was mentioning, where it doesn't really give you like a clear indicator of what you're doing. Ooh, I really do like the weird environments you go to. Really interesting sense of like scale to it. And you always hear so many things about the series, I'm sure, even if you haven't like necessarily played it. And it's really, really weird looking, just in terms of like who you're fighting, what the whole deal is with what's going on in the scenario, and just like the characters involved. Like right off the get-go, it was like the weirdest thing taking place in this like graveyard setup, and man oh man, it's just been a non-stop weirdness joyride the whole way through. Oh, that was too easy. Honestly, like normal difficulty, big jump up, guys. Seriously. That's the regular play you should be playing on for a good challenge. But, you know, there's no shame in wanting to enjoy more of the narrative element of a game, which I do honestly quite like. There are lots of challenges to do and extra harder modes, if that's something you're interested in. I mean, that is something that is available to you. Oh yeah, sometimes the camera angle is a little bit awkward too, where you're trying to like get to places. I found that troubling. Because the game does have an intuitive sort of like dodging thing, as you just saw there, where usually you're using that when you're fighting enemies. But these ones kind of just melt away like butter, so I don't really have time to do that. And then you go into a slow-mo thing that you kind of saw there with the purple kind of time slowing thing that went on. And then you're able to kind of just mash away your enemies, which is great for boss fights, because there are many boss fights in this. But yeah, that's what I'm saying, is like a lot of this is the dodging, but you'll like, how do I describe it? When you're going to do the dodging, sometimes it's hard to get a notice of the fact that like, you know, you need to dodge, which can be a little bit frustrating. So this is a door where we have to use like a statue thingy in order to be able to activate. Well, so yeah, we have to get like a statue thing. And then we're able to go into like some kind of witch time motion thing, and then we can go through there. It's complicated, which I'm guessing, yeah, okay. Let's get the heavenly statue back. Oh, who saw this coming? But yeah, you get just what I'm saying there. It's kind of really neat. It's a very different sort of game. I'm sure there's not really anything like it except for maybe the follow-ups, but you get what I'm saying, where it's just so bizarre. It's really cool. I also like how they have these loading screens where you can practice your moves, but because the game loads so fast on the modern console, you don't actually like get to do anything. You get like half a second there, so it's like you can just slightly move your character, and that's like all there is to that part, which is kind of funny because probably back in the day it was like a, you know, a huge thing where you would be able to practice your moves in that area because the loading took so long. But now it's just like, not even like a second thought. Basically, you're just like through it. So that's a neat mechanic. So yeah, I mean, the boost in like FPS, very nice. Resolution too, it does look really good. You know, just like visually and everything like that. It's a very pretty game. Kind of up to the standard of today. Just some of the elements, texturing wise, don't quite hold up, you know, in comparison to other titles. But for the most part, if you've ever been curious about Bayonetta, I'd say this is like a really good time to give it a try. You know, because it is such a distinct sort of title. It's so weird looking. Really cool characters, really neat story. And there is a nice sense of like mystery as you are discovering who this character is. You might be like myself and be like, wow, this story is like super weird and it's like there's so much going on in it, maybe overwhelming at times, but you can still kind of get the gist of a woman trying to figure out her past, understand things, and seeing stuff appear. They do some fun things with that, and her attitude is just like really great. Always got like a lollipop going on, always like just not caring at all about anything that comes in her way. She's just like, whatever, mow you down, whatever creature, whatever monster, doesn't matter. Bayonetta's got it in the bag, easy slaughter. So it's got some cool boss fights, some really weird situations, tons of creatures going on. A good variation in the gameplay. It's always feeling like a sort of fresh thing. I like the gunplay too. I wonder if I can like do that. So you can unleash like a cool like movement system with the gunplay, which is kind of cool. Kind of combos are better though for doing damage. Oh, here's the purple thing where I've basically gone into like another time thing because I got a good dodge in, so I'm able to mow away at this enemy. Oh yeah, this is one of her really sexualized things where she summons a big monster thing and it comes in and annihilates this stuff. It's the bird again. Her hair is quite intense. There we go. Yeah, my hands were getting a little bit sore earlier playing on the normal difficulty. It's like, ugh. Feeling the pressure, putting those combos down. A lot of button mashers this week, that's for sure. So yeah, really weird game. I hope I've kind of showed it off. I don't think I've really spoiled anything narrative-wise, which is always the hope when I do these. Because I want people to be able to enjoy it fresh. It's a sort of game that you can't... I don't think you could, to a person that hasn't experienced this, really spoil, because of just... you're likely looking at this and just being like, what is going on? And I think that kind of works out well for it. I mean, I don't know, it's kind of neat because you can sit there on like almost any level, I think, and just be like, what is a regular person? And then you play it yourself and you're like, oh, yeah, no, I get it. I don't think a lot of titles can really do that too well. Wow, another one of these. Okay. Take out this dragon. I think I missed the combo there. You get just like, oh! That's what I'm saying, is like sometimes, you don't see it quite coming. It kind of comes out of nowhere. Could you, yeah, come on, die already. Your other one was so much faster. But yeah, usually, you actually have to put in a big effort with these things and stuff like that, so super easy. Anyways, super flashy game, super cool. Bayonetta. Definitely worth checking out. I think this might be a good spot. I don't know. Kind of want to keep going too, just to show off a little bit more. But I think this is a good spot to kind of call it a day. This is Bayonetta. Hope you've enjoyed this look at it. As you know what, maybe we'll throw in one of these boss fight things. That's probably a pretty good idea, so you can see the layerings to that weird experience. Okay. I'm not doing this right. There we go. See, sometimes you have to do like a combo thing in order to get off of stuff. You're never sure. You gotta pay attention during these cutscenes. Oh. So anyways, here we go. This person's been giving us some trouble over some battles and stuff. Kinda cool. Comes in a big motorcycle and stuff. It's pretty neat. Anyways, let's teach her a lesson. Giant rock stuff, things flying around. They do a lot of destructive elements in this. So the lava levels are really fun to kind of run around through. Just trying to survive. More craze, more explosions. Side of walls. Yeah, and usually you'd be doing more like dodging and kind of being smart about that. But oh yeah, guns blazing. And there is a pattern in the design to actually being smart when you are facing things. Oh, platinum medal, look at me, I'm so cool. And that is Bayonetta.